again, and I want to first start out by talking about the numbering situation for some of the days, because when I was going through and trying to figure out what number we're at today, and I know we're kind of coming close to the end. Last week I labeled us ending through day 86, which meant there was only 2 weeks left, but however it worked out, but now looking at the calendar, it's not right, and so I don't know, today's day 87 through whatever of 100 days of making comics, which is a way for me to get into a routine of drawing at least 30 minutes every day for my comic, either Frequent Flyers or Jake's, and to, I don't know, basically keep up a program and get going. Initially it was just to redesign the characters and jumpstart the comic again. They've been posting live on the website that I do them for over at ems1.com. So week 2 is in the books with them, and then we're going to be moving on to week 3, which is sort of like the renewal for it all. I'll bring it up here actually, but you guys have already seen, if you watch the videos, you've already seen sort of where we came from, where we started, and all that stuff, but also what comics are going to be posting here in the next couple of weeks. So I don't know, here, this is the website, ems1.com, and Frequent Flyers is the name of the comic there, and here's Messy Ambulance one that I think we showed off last week, and then this one that posted this past week for Christmas was all about the holiday crowds, and trying to navigate your way through that. So they've been posting there. There'll be another one posted this week, and hopefully we can stay on the weekly schedule and do what we tried to do in the beginning. But 30 minutes a day at least. To be honest, to make any of these happen, it's got to be like an hour or two a day minimum to keep it up. But 30 minutes a day, and then probably one big day to sort of put it all together with colors and inks and textures and things like that. So there's those two. They've posted. The third one's going up this week. Pretty excited about that. I worked on some story stuff during the week and did some a lot of sketches for trying to work out a couple of ideas. Really rough. So mostly scribbles, nothing coherent. Trying to get like a pose, so I messed with some sketches in a pose. I'll kind of show you some of that here. So you can see some of that in there. So trying to get a pose in some of these, and then also trying to map out the Christmas portrait for the guys on my shift, which is a lot like the comic. In that I've tried to keep the characters the same, so I can kind of reuse the ideas and keep pushing the comic while doing the other things around me. The guys like it, and I wanted to go step by step through that, for the next 5 or 10 minutes to kind of show you guys my process and whether or not I'm doing it right, wrong, or whatever. So feel free to add some comments below. And while we do this, I'm going to have a beer in the holiday spirit. It's the day after Christmas. I'm having Winter Mingle. I like stouts. This is a stout with vanilla. It's made by Magic Hat. Cheers. Alright. The other thing is, I have to show these off. My wife makes these out of perler beads. They're pretty cool. There's little potted ones, and we glue them all together. And there you go, wife. There's some stuff there. She just does like craft shows or something like that. So anyway, let's get rid of this. So here's the shift portrait that I did for the guys. It's there's 8 of us on shift, and a 9th person is our part-time EMT, but everybody's a little bit customized. Obviously these look a lot like the style I was working on a few weeks back when I was trying to develop the characters and mess with poses, and then some of the Inktober stuff, which I never followed through because it just took too much time to do that and work on the comic and do everything. So yeah, so here's the finished product. But I would imagine that you folks who are watching want to know sort of the process. So why don't we do this? Let's go through and let's get rid of all of this. I'm going to show you in Photoshop. I drew it all in Manga Studio, well, Clip Art Studio or whatever it's called now, but it used to be Manga Studio. And there. Alright, so blank piece of paper. What I basically did is I started with each of the individuals in sort of a sketch, and that's not even right. Let me see. Where is our sketch? No colors. Where did our sketch go? Alright, maybe we got rid of the sketch. Stand by. I have the sketch. Here we go. So here's Manga Studio. This is where all the magic happens, and sketch layers are down there. So let's go ahead and minimize all the inks and the color layers. And let's get rid of the background layer. And let's go ahead and add in the sketches. So here's the original sketch. So each of them was a different layer, and I went in with a different color so I could kind of pick them out and move them around and do whatever. I flattened them and squashed them all in to get sort of the general pose, and then I went on top of them with a little bit more of a refined pose. So if we can get kind of, you can see where people sort of line up. Then I ran through and drew everybody again, refined them. The big guy in the back, I was pretty happy with basically the arrangement of that, and felt pretty good that I can draw him, so not a problem. So here's the sketch layer. We went through that process, and then when we get into Photoshop, see if we can get caught up on this now. Again, the sketch layer, which is all moved around. No, there's the other sketch layer. That's all there, and then I went in and inked all of our characters. So here are all our inks. Inks. So I tried to do each character as a separate ink layer so I could move everybody around if I needed to. Looks like I have a couple of color layers in just to, just smashed in there. But that's essentially the inks layer, and what came over. What would normally come over from Manga Studio would be something along these lines. I do the basic coloring in Manga Studio, and then I bring it over. Into Photoshop, and then do the rest of it. So once we get into Photoshop, we can add in our backgrounds. Which here's the ink layer of that. Well, why don't we add the next layer of color here? Some more inks. Colors for her, some colors in the front, and try to get the foreground, background sort of arranged as far as how everybody's stacked in. And then once I got that basically done, this is what I brought into Photoshop, and then straight into Photoshop, I added this big block of dark in the back, and then really started playing with things. So I wanted some sort of gray colors in the background. For the windows, I didn't want them to be too bright because I really wanted the guys in the foreground to pop. So this was really the jumping off point for most of the drawing. Then I like to go ahead and add like a big texture over everything, and then delete out the textures from the flesh tones. And I feel like that makes it real simple, and it makes the flesh tones pop a little bit better and gives it a little bit more depth, and it's just not so the colors and the lines just don't have to look so perfect. It gets like a little bit of a dirty look and feel, which I really like. I don't know, maybe it's not the greatest, but for me it looks like it becomes clear and easy to read by adding that texture in there. So once I have all of that in there, what I ended up doing was I added the text at the bottom. So we added this one here, and we also added the shift information stuff for whatever year it was. which is, you know, a little graphic design, but no big deal. Nothing crazy. And then I added in a little bit of this extra, I wanted a little extra darkness across the bottom here, just again to show a little bit more depth of field, a little bit more depth on the roof. And then sort of the magic happens here, because I was playing with a couple different background colors that I wanted. This was the initial one, which I kind of liked, but then I was thinking it was Christmas time, so you know, why don't we stick with more of the green to red feel. So this is the one I ended up going with for the background. And then towards the end, one of the last couple of things I do is I put all the pupils in, and I make everybody look at the camera or look at us, unless, you know, it fits their personality and we look somewhere else. But that's I know where they are in my head, but then I go ahead and do it there. And then the last thing for us, because we're firemen, is adding in the numbers on the helmets. And for some reason, the one up here for Lieutenant Dalton kind of fell off, so I have to go and fix that. But that's the general idea there. And then I've already sort of kept a digital signature that I slapped in on everybody. So that's the general process. That's the general layering process, and that's exactly how I go about doing the comic. So you can see how this goes through. I just made these as 11x17s. I printed them out over at Staples on some fancy semi-glossy paper that I have. It's kind of like a cardstock or a cover stock, which worked really well, and the guys seem to really like it. So, but yeah, going through this process is the same as what I've been doing for the comic. So typically redrawing the comic at least 4 times. Once for the basic idea in the sketchbook, once again with sort of these scribbly purple and orange sketches, and I sketch over it and refine it a little bit more, and then I go ahead and ink it and add color, textures, etc. So anyway, there's some insight into the process, and we got basically a week to go. So on New Year's Day, January 1st, is officially the last day I'll have made 100 days of making comics. I'll have met my goal at that point. I feel like in my heart I've already met the goal, because I've produced the work. I'm in a rhythm to do the work, and I'm producing comics, and we redesigned it all and did everything. So we're gonna keep going and hopefully come up with a few fun things along the way. See if we can't build the buffer during this little point. But I'm gonna hang with you through the next week, and we'll wrap up this 100 days of making comic. I do work on New Year's Eve, so New Year's Day I'll come in and do my time. We'll make a video and we'll wrap this thing up. Anyway, so if you need to find me, obviously, you know, thumbs up, subscribe to my channel to see more actual art videos or time-lapse videos or whatever else fire related. Follow me on Twitter at NotoriousLB3. Instagram is the same, NotoriousLB3. And you know, if you have any questions or anything, reach out and find me in the comments, and I'll be happy to get back to you. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. We'll see you at the next one.